As always, we're just going to do a quick Zoom how-to at the beginning of the call so we can explain how to manage participation. The goal is to make sure that everybody gets the most out of the meeting. We do ask that you keep your Zoom window open if you're on your computer. There will be visuals that you can follow along with. If you're on the phone, you can review those materials that Terry emailed out before the call. Any new materials reference will be sent out after. We also are recording this meeting so we can make that available digitally as soon as it processes. We do ask that you keep your camera off and that you stay muted during the call unless otherwise directed. This will just help us minimize background noise and distractions during the meeting. And so when it comes time for discussion, we will use the chat window in Zoom. If you're on your computer, if you navigate to your controls bar at the bottom of your Zoom window, sort of in the middle, there's a button that says chat. That will open up a window where you can let the moderator know that you have something to say. Cindy has already chimed in on the chat, but I'll add an example there as well. So I hope everybody was able to find that, can see that. If you're dialed in on the phone and want to indicate you have a question or comment throughout the call, you can use *9. When you dial *9, we'll get a signal on our screen that lets us know you want to contribute. And so we'll be monitoring both the chat feed and those call indicators throughout the meeting. And we will take input from participants one at a time, asking people to unmute when we call on you. So when it comes time using the unmute button, if you're on your computer, it's in the bottom left-hand corner of your Zoom window. You can click on that. It'll turn on your microphone so that we can hear you. If you're on the phone, *6 will unmute you. So we can remind you of that if you need a reminder throughout the call. But that's kind of the quick overview. I'll pass it back to Terry so she can introduce our guests.
Thank you, Julia. We are really grateful that our guests have taken time out of their incredibly busy schedules to join us this morning. We are welcoming the awesome Sharon King from Boulder's SBDC office, as well as Senator Michael Bennet's staff, which I'm going to introduce by first name only so I don't completely mess things up. But on the phone, I believe we have James. He is joining us. He's the regional director based in Fort Collins. We have Brian, Senator Bennett's legislative director, calling in from DC, and Jacqueline, Senator Bennett's point person in Colorado for small business resources during this crisis, and she's based in Colorado Springs. So Brian, if you are on the phone, if you would like to get started with an update, I'm going to turn it over to you, followed by comments from Jacqueline and Susan, and then we'll open it up immediately to questions.
Thanks. Just want to make sure, can you all hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. So thank you for having us. And my name is Brian Appel. I'm Michael's legislative director. And we are, we have spent the last few days kind of unpacking the bill, the CARES Act a bit. As you know, that this was...
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by #.
Oops, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I think, Jacqueline, I hope you're back. Okay, sorry, Brian, go ahead.
Enter your participant ID. You are in the meeting now. There are more than 60 participants in the meeting. This meeting is being recorded.
Sorry, Brian, I think we're good now.
Okay, great. So this time last week, the law didn't exist, and it is now it's a $2 trillion bill that focuses on providing aid to small businesses, direct payments to individuals, stepped up unemployment insurance, and a significant amount of funding for hospitals, for state and local governments, everything from combating homelessness to providing funding for infrastructure. I thought I'd just take a couple of minutes and describe briefly some of the small business components of the bill. And then my colleague Jackie will kind of talk a little bit about kind of how to send questions to us, how we hope to interface with you all going forward, if that works for everybody. Great, I'm going to assume it does. So, So the first thing the bill does, it takes the Small Business Administration, which is a relatively small agency, and it kind of steps it up significantly. So for the first thing it does, it creates something called the Paycheck Protection Program. And that is, provides loans up to $10 million. However, these loans can convert into grants if you are using them to maintain payroll, paying rent, utilities, or mortgage interest. The grant portion of it would last for about 8 weeks. It's based on 8 weeks. And the amount is 2.5 times 8 weeks of your average payroll. So that's the first component of it. It's a pretty dramatic step. It is a $350 billion program. And the idea behind it is just getting money into businesses' pockets very quickly, just because of the need out there that, every day that we continue social distancing is another day where businesses are just feeling the hurt. So that's the first component of it. Again, at most it would be a $10 million loan, and you could have a portion forgiven of it that is used over an 8-week period on salary, on payroll, rent, utilities, and mortgage interest. The second component of this is something called these economic injury disaster loans, which currently exist, but the one thing that they changed in here was upon applying for that loan, you can get a $10,000 advance immediately. Well, immediately in government terms, I should qualify that, which is 3 days. And even if you ultimately do not qualify for the loan, you could still keep the grant so long as it is used for your payroll operations. And you could also refinance that economic injury disaster loan into a paycheck protection loan, which is the one I just described, where there's much more broader forgiveness. I think the last thing that I'd mention is people who have existing small business loans, or if you get one within 6 months, they will pay 6 months worth of payment. So it's like it's debt relief for current SBA borrowers or future SBA borrowers within 6 months. The last thing I'd also say about SBA is that this is open to generally, and these are general rules, but generally this is open to businesses that have less than 500 employees, or the SBA has kind of size standards across different industries, which help determine kind of how what is considered small across different industries, I guess is a way of explaining it. So anyway, I'll stop there and hand it over to Jackie, and then we're happy to answer questions. Before Jackie starts, I'd just like to say, if we can't answer your question here, we will take notes of them. I know you all have sent us some questions as well, and we'll work together to see if we can get answers as quickly as we can. Some of this, we just need to wait for the regulations to come out. The Treasury Secretary has said these would come out as early as Friday. That would be quick by government standards. So, but in the meantime, we're going to try to answer as much as we can. And if we can't, we'll try to follow up with you. So I will hand it over to Jackie, and yeah.
Good morning, everybody. This is Jackie. So quick note, my sound dropped, so I don't know what was shared in terms of my kind of function in the office, but I am the constituent advocate who is the lead on the SBA portfolio in the state. And so what that means is essentially, Brian is in DC helping to craft the law and getting into the nuts and bolts of all the legislation, whereas I have the contacts with the SBA and I'm working to collect questions and working with Brian to make sure that we're addressing, like Brian mentioned, any oversights that may have occurred, anything that is urgent. Obviously, we're trying to prioritize as best as possible. So for my part today, what I want to share with you and emphasize, now we had sent some information to the partnership previously. So hopefully you had received that. And I think I see on the screen share, yes, some of those documents. So definitely encouraging you to thoroughly review those documents. They have a lot of kind of specific answers to different scenarios that you may be encountering depending on your particular business. The other piece that I really wanted to emphasize for all of you today is to sign up for updates. And I am sending through the chat. I just sent it. Everyone should see it. The update links from SBA. So that's the Colorado district that that link specifically would sign you up for. The reason yep, there it is on the screen. The reason we're emphasizing that is because really, as you've probably encountered already or noticed, there is overlap, right? This is obviously federal legislation and SBA is going to play a big role, but the state also has a piece of what's going on. So the other link, yep, great timing for who's managing the screen share. The other link there is for your Colorado updates. And so the Office of Economic Development and International Trade of the state of Colorado has done an impressive job of continuing to organize and develop information. So signing up for these updates are going to be some of the key pieces for you. The other pieces of information that I wanted to kind of emphasize for the audience today is also there is a hotline that is available, and I'm going to copy paste that into the chat box here shortly. Again, through OEDIT, that Office of Economic Development at the state level, they are prepped to kind of be a COVID response for small businesses. So, of course, everything with a caveat currently is that, volume has increased substantially. But that is another resource for you to be able to correspond and ask real-time questions. And then finally, I wanted to send another link here that another piece of working with small businesses has obviously been a lot of folks are concerned about their employees and what they could be facing. So the link that I sent here is another state of Colorado information portal, because there's going to be info both for employers, layoff aversion strategies, things of that nature, and of course, information for employees. So that's going to be a helpful portal for you as well. And the last thing that I would mention, trying to go at a quick pace in the interest of time to get your questions in, is that I know you're on a virtual meeting already right now, but I did want to flag in case anyone hadn't received the information, is that the SBA, in conjunction with a number of community groups, including the Colorado Latino Legislative Caucus, is hosting a virtual small business town hall today, and that's from 3 to 4 p.m. So I'll make sure if the partnership doesn't have that info already, I'll get it so that can be pushed out. In particular, I flagged that one just in the event that you or anyone in your circles might need Spanish translation, because that's also a need that's out there. This virtual town hall will be supporting that function for language. So other than that, those are my quick info source points. And one more thing that I would point out is in the document that we sent to the partnership, which kind of has a breakdown of the CARE Act different pieces for Colorado. If you look in that document, browse through that, it has the Senator Bennet logo at the top. And it's what our team kind of compiled to highlight for Colorado specifically, the legislation. So that document also has my contact information. And so, yep, that's the one. And so if you scroll through that, you'll see at the bottom there, my contact for constituent assistance. So in between, yep, there it is, right there at the end. So in between, all this drinking from a fire hose, if you want to reach out to me directly, please absolutely do, because as Brian mentioned, we will be collecting questions and prioritizing as best as possible for a timely response, and especially trying to advocate as best we can for any oversights that may have occurred, because this legislation has moved so quickly. So I will wrap up my piece there. Thank you so much, everybody, and I guess we'll segue into questions, I believe. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, before we go to questions,
actually, I apologize. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to let Sharon from the SBDC go really fast because she needs to jump off in about 10 minutes. Sharon, I apologize, but do you want to jump on and make any comments? And thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so everything that was said earlier, thanks to Senator Bennett's office, I just say ditto on that. It saved me a lot of talking. So the I'm Sharon King. I'm the Executive Director of the Boulder Small Business Development Center, SBDC. We're one of 15 centers in Colorado. We roll up into the Office of Economic Development, the governor's office. So we're all trying to partner to make sure that we don't duplicate, but we get the resources that you guys need. Okay, so everything so far has been applicable. So 3 things. First, we realize that as a business owner, you're in a really hard spot because you're making decisions and you don't have all the information yet. So, but we're all in the same spot. So you have to decide if you're going to lay off your employees or lay off yourself sometimes. You're going to decide if you want to take a loan and which loans to take. Maybe some of them will become forgiven. You want to decide how much debt you want to take on totally, how much cash you want to put in place just in case. All of those decisions, and they all are kind of cascading. They all interrelate. So we get it. I have a team that actually will kind of be your sounding board and talk you through things and just listen and try to help you decide. You're taking the risk, you decide. So that's number one. It will get better once SBA comes out with what they have, and we're going through training all this week to be able to do that. I'm hoping Friday is the day it all launches, and who knows. Number 2, the quick cash piece is something that you can do now, although it may not kick in immediately. So, and that goes back to the EIDL Advance program that Brian mentioned. EIDL is Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and it is literally EIDL Advance. Let me sit back for a minute. There are 2 different parts of SBA that are involved with this. And basically, if you decide to do all of the programs, you're applying to 2 different places. So you just need to know that for context. So the Office of Disaster Assistance is the side. For instance, if there's a tornado, they go out and help. Well, this is a pretty big tornado we're in right now. So they are administering the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. So the quick cash, you go onto a website, which I will say right now, but I will follow up with the link, and Terry may have it. And it is a very quick application for this cash. The intention is to get money to you, right? So it is COVID, COVID, no spaces here, COVID-19 relief.sba.gov /#. And again, this will, Downtown Boulder Partnership will give you this. It is a quick application. It is an application for a loan. You can decide not to accept the loan. So you're not taking on the money just by doing this. You're not taking on a loan. If you are denied the loan, you can get up to $10,000, up to a $10,000 grant. At the end of the application, they're going to ask you for your bank routing number and account number. They're trying to get the money to you quickly. So that's something you can do now. There will be more process, and you will basically be applying to see if you can get a bigger loan. But as I said, you can always say no. I'm not going to go into the Paycheck Protection Program. It's too much detail at this point. The only thing I will say is that, and Brian, I'm not sure, you may correct me, but if I understand correctly, some of the SBA size guidelines may not be applicable for this one, the PPP. And that may open this up as a really important channel for some of our companies that are just above the SBA size guidelines, especially restaurants and things like that. So I would say look for that. Otherwise, I think I stop. There's a lot of collaboration going on within our community. We really try to make sure you get all the information as quickly as it's confirmed. And I'll turn it back over to Downtown Boulder Partnership.
Thank you so much. Brian, did you have one more thing you wanted to add? And then I'll start asking some questions that are coming up on the chat.
Yeah, just quickly, and I'm just adding this because I was looking at the chat function in here, and I did misstate something. I was merging two things, and it's in the chat. I wrote it out on the group chat, but basically the max loan is 250% of your average monthly payroll between February 2019 and June 30th, 2019. So that's your max loan. What I was kind of getting a little tripped up over was the forgiveness amount. That is the costs incurred over an 8-week period. So anyway, I just wanted to clarify that. And I put kind of a little bit more detail on the group chat on that.
So if you're joining us by phone, we'll copy the group chat and make sure you get all of that information. And I take it that was in direct answer to, is it 2.5 times 1 month or 2.5 times the 8 weeks?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, another question came in. If you were in business February 15th, 2019 through June 30th, 2019. Oh wait, that's you. Is that you?
That's me.
That's
yeah,
you.
That's still me.
Sorry. Okay, let's see. There is a question about payroll protection loans. As we are transitioning from a brick and mortar retail business to an online work at home, I've been supplementing paid work hours with a COVID-19 PTO policy to maintain wages and FTE as it was before this all hit. Will the COVID-19 PTO wages be excluded from any loan forgiveness provisions as provided in this program?
That is a good question. I think there's a couple of things in here that if you are paying, I think where this is going, but again, we should check back with you should check with your lender and with kind of the resources at SBDC. There is a there's a paid leave policy that was put in effect by a previous coronavirus bill. And with that, you get a tax credit for providing that paid leave. It's a refundable tax credit that you can draw on, that you could get quarterly. I think what the person was referencing, I think it was Andy, if I'm not mistaken, yes, is I think there may be a bit of a concern about double dipping there, that you're getting a tax credit for providing paid leave, but also at the same time, you're getting this grant for paid leave. That's maybe what they're referring to in the law bulletin, but again, I don't have it, so I don't want to. I wouldn't take this to the bank necessarily, but that is my sense of that.
Thank you. I just also want to recognize James Thompson from Senator Bennett's office. He posted in the comments, but it's thanks to James that we were able to organize this call. And he just mentioned, James, if you want to unmute and just mention that you're still the main contact for Boulder County for different issues.
So yeah, I just to clarify, I'm regional director for Senator Bennet in the Fort Collins office, but I cover Boulder County, Wyoming County, Weld County, and northeastern Colorado. And so we're here for any other questions you have related to COVID or related to just, we also love talking about general policy. So any questions you have, I'm still the point person here, and I provided my contact info there.
Wonderful, thank you. And we'll share that with the group as well. I'm just going to keep going. I know Sharon's jumping off in just a few minutes. So Sharon, I thank you for joining us, and I'll keep going if whoever wants to jump in. Another question just came in from Full Cycle. So it's not based on 1 year average, but average over a 3-month period.
Sorry about that, I was muted. I think
No.
there are, and if you look in some of the FAQs we sent, in terms of your max loan, that's the year period, or kind of the broader period. For forgiveness purposes, that's that 8-week standard that we had just talked about. So I think that's where I was kind of getting a little tripped up, and it may have been a little bit confusing earlier. That sorry, I'm getting a lot of emails as we're talking. You know, you can get a part of the loan may not be forgiven if you're getting a bigger loan than just the forgiveness portion, the part that you may, the 8-week period in which you're spending on payroll, rent, and utilities. So look at it kind of two separate ways. So in kind of calculating how you'd want to approach it. I hope that makes sense.
Hey, this is Sharon. If I could just pop in for a sec. I'm going to jump off, but we can help you one-on-one. There's no cost to the consulting. BoulderSBDC.com. Just request consulting. And it's just, we've been bombarded also, but we will contact you as soon as possible to help with the calculations if needed.
Thank you so much,
everybody.
Sharon.
Yeah, no problem. Take care.
Brian, Jackie, we're just going to keep reading questions, and whenever you guys need to wrap up, please just let us know. Next question from Beth. How will they determine what part of the loan is forgivable?
Yeah, so the forgivable portion, it is 8 weeks of payroll. Hold on one sec. I'm just toggling documents.
Yeah, Brian?
Hey,
it's Jackie. There's actually a direct answer, and I will read it really quick. I believe I found it because this is in relation to the triple P. No problem. In relation to the triple P program. And so for everyone listening, it's in the document that we sent, which is from the U.S. Senate Committee on Small Business and Entrepreneurship. It's on page 4. And the question is, how is the forgiveness amount calculated? Answer, forgiveness on a covered loan is equal to the sum of the following payroll costs incurred during the covered 8-week period compared to the previous year or time period, proportionate to maintaining employees in wages, excluding compensation over $100,000. And then, sorry, I can't see if it's on the screen yet, and you can probably, you can probably read it there yourself. But that is some of the info. And then Brian, if you want to expand on that, but I think that's what Beth was asking.
Yep. Nope, that's perfect. Thanks, Jackie. Yeah, and so some of these, if you just kind of go through the Q&As here, that will help with some of this. But again, we don't even have the rules yet on how this is going to be implemented. The hope is by the end of the week, we'll get them.
Okay, perfect. Another question came up. I read that you need to first go to your own bank before you request a loan. Is that true?
So this is typically, through, and the local small business, the Colorado branch of the Small Business Administration or the SBDC, Sharon can help with this. Typically, this is done through what we call, there are certain banks that contract with the Small Business Administration. Small Business Administration is a small agency. Most of its work is done through banks. Previously, they've guaranteed loans that banks make. Here, they're actually providing grants working through the bank. So you should talk to your local lender particularly for the PPP program.
Brian, can you just clarify, did you mean February 2020, not 2019? In that question above.
I think it is actually 2019 because they're trying to see kind of what you were last year. You qualify for it, like I'm just looking. Yeah, no, it's actually for the size of the loan, it is February 2019 to June 30th, 2019, because they actually want to see kind of, I guess from the Small Business Administration's perspective, they want to make sure you're a real business that operated for at least a year. There's a standard if you were not in business between February 15th and June 30th, 2019. So it is actually 2019.
Thank you. Can you also clarify on the PPP, do employers have to keep all of their employees to qualify? Could you clarify the wording around that?
Yeah, there is a reduction that's proportional if you don't keep on all your employees, because I think they realize, hold on one sec, I will find this. So yeah, there is a proportional reduction. However, if you have them all back, I'm typing as we're talking, by June 30th, you can qualify for the full amount. Just bear with me one second. I'm reading from some of the background material I have here. So it is, the amount forgiven will be reduced proportionately by any reduction in the employees or reduction in salaries to encourage employers to rehire employees who already have been laid off due to the crisis. Borrowers will not be penalized for having a reduced payroll at the time, I'm sorry, I'm just reading, at the beginning of the period, so long as the employer eliminates the reduction in the number of employees or salary levels by June 30th, 2020. So that's a way of saying that if you have a dip, but you bring it back up, you won't have a proportional reduction in your salaries or in the amount of forgiveness.
Thank you. What if you weren't in business for all of February 2019 through June 2019?
There is an answer to that. Jackie, if you get, oh wait, I've got it. If you are not in business between February 15th, 2019 and June 30th, 2019, your max loan is equal to 250% of your average monthly payroll costs between January 1st, 2020 and February 29th, 2020.
Perfect, thank you. An employee is saying that they cannot apply for the unemployment benefit since they don't have payroll between October 2018 through December 2019. So if you only have payroll in 2020, are you not eligible? And if so, why? Or is this just a misunderstanding?
Is this for UI or for the SBA program? That is what I'm curious about.
Chen from Kucha, can you please unmute and verify that? I think it's coming from the
Sure.
employee standpoint.
Sure.
Okay,
Just for from employees' standing point, they're trying to apply for unemployment benefit. So that's the question comes up.
Thanks for flagging it. Let me check on that. And we could send around some background information on the UI benefit. I'm a little less familiar with that, so I don't want to give you incorrect information here. So we could flag that and follow up. We could follow up with the Boulder Downtown Partnership with an answer on that.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a particular percentage of our staff that we need to retain or even rehire at this point in order to qualify for the PPP?
No, I think it's similar to the previous answer that I gave, that there would, for qualification, you actually don't need to, and I'll find, this is from what the committee put together, so bear with me, but basically the answer is you just need to show, in order to qualify, you need to show you are a viable business as of like February 15th. Hold on one second, I've seen this before. Hold on one sec, but the answer is no. You basically need to show that you were an operating functional business before the crisis started, and that you need to, you'll need to do a certification that you are a legitimate business, that you're going to use this money for payroll and the allowable uses. So if you bear with me one more minute, I'm just trying to find. Sorry, I'm talking to myself and I'm realizing 60 people are on this call.
That's okay.
So yeah, you basically have to put out, like, there's a certification that's walked through in the legislation, but it is not a typical, like, you're going to the bank, and typically with an SBA loan, there's a little bit of demonstrating that you couldn't otherwise get this loan from a regular commercial lender. And here, so many of those requirements are waived, so the standards are much easier. Yeah, so the answer is, though, you don't need, at the outset, you're not going to need to show, you're not going to have to show that. You're not going to have to show that.
This is a two-part question. What is the standard for businesses that have not been open for 1 year? And then what if the business has been around for a long time, but it just recently changed ownership?
That we're going to have to, if the business has not been opened for 1 year, I guess what I'd want clarification is, was it open as of, like, it hasn't been open since like the beginning of 2019?
Kyle, can you unmute and clarify your question, please? Kyle, are you still with us? You know what, we might need to get clarification on that. We'll follow up.
Okay.
If it's Kyle from Boulder One, they just purchased the business like late last year.
Oh, okay. I guess the question was it in operation? Were you, like, if you purchased it, was it open, or were you like spending time kind of, you know, standing it up, I guess is the question.
No, it was in operation the whole time. It just switched ownership.
I see. Okay. I think that should still work. You know, you may want to talk, you're going to probably, when you get down to that level of granularity, we may have to wait for the guidance to come out on it. But again, first of all, none of this you should be taking as like legal advice or anything, or you should talk to your lenders, you should talk to the local SBA. We're still working to get our heads around this. But my sense of this is that you should be able to, but you should talk to your lender.
Thank you. This is kind of all around the same question with employees. The first one is, does it have to be the same employees or just the same FTE hours?
That is not one I've heard before.
It's okay. We'll just,
yeah,
we can follow up on one.
Typically, when I do these questions, I'm not doing it in real time, so I can sit and research for 20 minutes and come up with the answer. So that's why some of these may seem a bit choppy as we're going through them.
No worries. No worries. Do you have any responses to the reduction of employees, how it applies to part-time employees versus full-time?
I think there is a formula to that laid out in the bill, but we can follow up on that as well.
Okay, thank you. If we do a forgivable loan package out of CARES and everyone is on salary for 8 weeks, then how will there be access to capital to reopen?
You could do, there are other things you could do beyond, remember the size of the loan can be bigger than the portion that is forgiven. So you can do a broader loan there. You could also, you know, I was talking to somebody, you could apply for a traditional SBA 7A loan, which also has that debt forgiveness, which goes more to capital for assets and things like that, whereas the PPP loan is a little bit more geared toward operations, as we talked about earlier, payroll, utilities, rent. But remember, the amount can be greater than the portion that is forgiven. There are also other SBA loan programs that you can work from. And again, that 7A loan program, there is 6 months where they're just going to forgive 6 months of the debt of that. And that would apply to existing SBA people who are existing SBA borrowers, which I realize may not be anybody else's fault. There are also people who obtain a loan within 6 months.
Brian, I think we might be losing you. I don't know if it's just me, but you're coming across pretty broken up.
Really? Is this better? Talking closer to my computer?
Jackie, can you hear him clearly?
Yes. No,
Okay,
actually, I can't hear clearly.
Is this better?
A little bit.
Yeah.
There's no feedback.
There's still feedback.
Yep.
Do you want me to get off and go back on maybe the old switch off solution?
I think that might work, Brian, and we'll have to wrap up soon for the next call, actually. So maybe like 2 more questions.
If you want to do that, if you want to just try to do it, I will try to talk really loudly.
Can we?
Okay, perfect.
We hear that?
Did you hear that or not?
It's pretty
Not so much.
fuzzy.
Yeah.
I will try.
Okay, sorry about that, Brian.
I will try to jump off and go back. Just bear with me.
Thank you so much, Brian. We appreciate all of your effort. Okay. Jackie, are you looking at the comment?
I am. Yes.
Do you want to pick out just a couple more, because we don't want to keep you longer than you're available. So go ahead.
Great. Thanks so much. And as always, we'll have the opportunity to follow up if we run out of time. So please, no one feel any pressure regarding that. I did see a question from Scott that I definitely wanted to address. It says, can this apply to independent contractors or sole proprietors like musicians, yoga teachers, massage therapists, etc.? Do they qualify for losses of their regular gigs? So that is going to look kind of like a different path from what we can tell that is developing. The CARES Act, which was an unprecedented stimulus package in its size, included wording about this kind of gig economy. And so I'm going to pop this in the chat. Here's the link that relates, I think, directly to the gig economy workers, which we're actually going to be working through that at the state level. As you can see, the notice that the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment states just kind of this reoccurring theme here is that we are kind of in a holding pattern as the rules get written up. But so to answer Scott's question, yes, the CARES Act did include a portion, essentially an expansion of unemployment benefits for folks who are considered the gig economy. Yeah, and so let's see, I'll try to take one more, and let's see, I see Beth. I'm just looking back to, I know a bunch of people popped in about the sound, so
sorry about that. I'm back.
Just an FY. Okay, hey Brian, great. We were going to take one more question, and I guess, okay, I can read from Beth. It says, forgiveness amount says it excludes compensation over 100K. Does that mean if an employee makes 110K, that none of... Hello?
Not sure what that was. I think we can hear you, Jackie.
Jackie. Yeah, I just muted Brian. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, yeah, the glitchy issue.
Uh-oh, Brian, I'm going to mute you. Okay, Jackie, go ahead.
Yeah. So we'll make this the last one, it sounds like. So Beth was asking if an employee makes 100K, that none of their income can be part of the forgivable loan, or does it mean that the 8 weeks worth of 100K of their income can be part of the loan, just not the part that is in excess of 100K? And so I don't know if we can get Brian to jump in on that, simply because he's kind of the numbers, nuts and bolts person. But if we might attempt to get him back on, Brian.
He jumped off.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, I might leave that because just in the same way as Brian explains it, I do not want to present any misinformation. So, but that is a finer point that we can elaborate on. And so I'll take this as the cue to cut out with the glitch issues. But what I think we are counting on is just like Susan said, we are all in partnership currently.
Sorry, Brian, I keep muting you.
Yikes. Yeah, so we'll scratch that. But just to put a point on it is that, again, if things didn't get answered today, we're still here to support now and through the future. So we'll be working with the Boulder Partnership, the Downtown Partnership, to facilitate all the answers that we can. So,
Brian, your phone's making lots of noise when you're unmuted.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, I can't even, Brian, if you could hang up, I can't mute you.
Yikes. Okay, let me try to.
There you go.
Okay, there we go.
So,
Yes. So
Jackie, sorry, Jackie, this is Chip with Downtown Boulder Partnership. And I know, I think you're right that the technical difficulties are telling us that time's probably up, but we will follow up with you with more questions. And I really want to appreciate you and Brian and James for taking the time today and working on this. One question I have, this is the third package coming out of Washington, D.C. I expect we'll see another stimulus package in some form at some point. Is that your anticipation?
as well, yes, that is our anticipation. And that's why there's a crucial component of us identifying in the state what any oversight is. So when another package comes up, we can try to mitigate those impacts as best as possible. So yes.
Probably as soon as we figure this one out, there'll be more to learn. Thank you so much. Thank you all of you for joining us. And
thank you, everybody. Stay healthy.
Thank you, you as well. Everybody else, if you want to stay on the line, Chip will do an update now as too.
And please, I know we were able to get some of the questions answered, and there's going to be lots more questions about this and all of the support coming out on all levels of government. So please keep using the Slack channel and keep emailing Terry with questions so we can do our best to get the answers from you. And we'll follow up with all the questions that didn't get answered to this morning with Senator Bennett's office or whomever the folks can answer, and Sharon from the SBDC. So I will do a really quick update of some of the things that we're working on and some of the things that are happening around Downtown Boulder Partnership, and then we'll leave it for any questions around kind of anything else that we can answer that hasn't been asked already, because we're recording that, and we'll get all the questions in the chat box and the ones that have been posed about the CARES Act. So just really quickly, I'll tell you a couple of things happening. We have Downtown Boulder Partnership contracted with private security to work in the downtown. Right now, we're primarily focused kind of around frankly, the public bathrooms downtown, which we're seeing causing some challenges. But we're really concerned with as all the shops are closing down and we have fewer natural eyes on the street, just having a presence there. We've been working very closely with the police department and understand that they're not able to be everywhere we want them all the time. So we're really trying to increase that. The city community vitality department is working with us and we'll be taking on some of the cost of private security, at which point hopefully we'll look into expanding our role and get some security for, who's are able to patrol a little broader area in the district. So we'll be able to have more eyes on the street. So I think that's having an impact. We just started that on Friday. So we've had an officer just graveyard shift essentially in the evenings to monitor, like I said, mostly around the public restrooms, but expanding on the mall area and the alleys. We hope to, like I said, expand that soon to cover more of the downtown. So keep an eye out for that. And if you have specific security areas that you're concerned about, of course, everyone's concerned about their store, which I appreciate. But if you're seeing issues in certain areas, please reach out to me and let me know so I can pass that on to both our police department and our private security. Another thing I want to let you know, the city is working on a very comprehensive survey that they will be sending out to every business license holder in the city. This is fairly unprecedented using the business license data to reach out to businesses, but it's city feels, and I agree, it's very important to get as much information as possible. So keep an eye out for that survey. It'll probably be coming to you in email form either later this week or early next week. And I really encourage you to take time to answer that survey. That is going to be not only how this inform not only how the city responds, but also how the city can, that information will be shared with our Congress member and our state representatives as well, in terms of really understanding what the impacts of the businesses, what the impacts of the employers, what impacts of families are around businesses. So please keep an eye out for that survey. It will be coming through email. And we'll be sharing links as that survey is published on the Slack channel and through our emails and anywhere else. So I really do encourage you to take time to fill it out. I know a lot of people are asking a lot of questions, and we're probably going to get very survey tired soon, but this one, the city is coming out, will be really important. And I don't know if folks had a chance to watch the governor's press conference yesterday, and also our Congress member Joe Neguse had a phone town hall meeting yesterday. I think both of those felt somewhat optimistic. I think they are both were recorded, and if we haven't, we'll publish those on the site. I think it was good information listening to the governor kind of talking about the impact that the stay-at-home order has had, or and all the other orders have had in terms of the goal, which is to slow down the curve of the spread of the virus. So if you haven't seen those, it's worth taking a minute to see the perspective of the state and the governor. And then a couple of quick little upcoming events I want to let you know about, and this is also all on the Slack channel, and I believe you've all received email about it too. Some webinars this week. The SBDC has a 3-part series that they are doing, and the second part, defensive marketing, is this Wednesday morning, April 1st. There's the webinar, and there's information on the Slack channel for that. And maybe if we find it, we can post that in the chat as well. That's Wednesday morning, defensive marketing. That's the 3-part series that the SBDC is doing. We are very fortunate to be working with Google on a webinar on April 2nd, Grow with Google, on the morning of April 2nd, Thursday. This is really geared towards, as more and more business is online, and people are looking for you, making sure you are up to date and using all the tools of Google, because people are generally going to be finding you or not based on your Google presence. So we have a Google trainer who's going to kind of give us an overview of making sure you're up to speed with Google. And we're also want to hear if there's other things you would like us to put together in terms of webinar. We're working really closely with the Chamber, the Small Business Development Center, and our other partners in the city to kind of coordinate education and coordinate resources. So let us know what you're needing. And then finally, I'll just mention those of you, a few of us joined us on last Friday for our social hour. We wanted to try to have a little bit of social connection that wasn't about learning how to apply for loans and various other things. We had a really nice time on Friday evening, a little social hour with sharing some time together in a light way. So it looks like we are going to be doing that again this Friday, so stay tuned for that. That's all of my updates. Happy to answer any questions I can about any of it. And if I can't answer, as always, we can try to get the questions answered.
Thank you, Chip. This is Terry again. It would be great to hear from people. So if you guys would like to talk, if you just say something in chat so I can call on you to unmute. But if anyone wants to ask a question, quick question coming about the Slack channel. If you have not joined it yet, if you can please send an email to Cindy at downtownboulder.org. She will send you an invite with instructions that make it really easy to sign up. So Cindy at downtownboulder.org, she will get you taken care of. would anyone else like to talk? Sarah from B-Cycle, do you want to unmute and just mention, you and I talked earlier about what you guys are doing and offering to businesses right now?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Terry. This is Sarah with Boulder B-Cycle. We were actually just wanting to ask some questions. Maybe people could pop out some answers or send me an email directly to Sarah, S-A-R-A, at boulderbcycle.com. We'd like to offer what would work best for everyone in the downtown area as far as bike share is concerned. Can we offer free bike share for delivering your products, for delivering your food, for getting some of your employees to work, whatever it is, we just want to do something to help out the community. So if there's any way bike share can help your company, just let us know. We're happy to do it at a discounted or even free rate.
Thank you so much, Sarah. That's really nice. Please just chime in if you want to say anything. I'll just mention a few things. If Cindy or Anna are on the call, and just briefly want to mention something that we're working on with our foundation. Cindy, Anna, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, this is Cindy. I'm here. We are putting together a downtown Boulder employee assistance fund. And I'm sorry, I had my notes up and then I navigated away from them. But basically, it is a fund that we created through the foundation, where we will be able to give $500 gifts to employees who have had their pay drastically reduced or eliminated because of COVID-19. And we're starting the fundraising kickoff with a virtual run series. So we're going to be sending out an email about that. People can participate in the virtual run, or they can just donate directly to the fund. We also have some t-shirts that we have available to promote the fund and also to help with funding. If you have any questions about that, you can email me. I put my email in the chat box, so you can just grab it there.
Thank you, Cindy. And we'll get more information out. We're going to roll that out in a couple of days. Julia, can you unmute really fast and tell everybody on the phone how to raise their hand if they'd like to say anything?
Yeah, if there's anyone on the phone that wants to contribute, you can use *9. So that'll indicate to us that you have a comment, and then we can instruct you on how to unmute. I don't see any hand raises coming through, Terry. Oh,
thank you. We got one.
We got one. They took the bait.
720.
Well, maybe not. 720.
Okay, we'll keep one.
Yeah, 1114. If you do want to speak, you're welcome to unmute. Otherwise, we'll keep moving along.
How do you unmute on the phone?
Oh, there you are. 720. Go ahead.
This is Paula. I'm from Boco Life, and I just opened 6 months ago. Oh, actually, now 8 months. And I just want to say thank you to Downtown Boulder. You have given out a lot of information.
Oh, thanks, Paula. Let us know if there's anything else we can do to support you and Boco Life.
Thank you.
Just a few quick other things we'll mention. This came out yesterday, Feed the Front Lines Boulder. It's an awesome initiative for the restaurant community and the healthcare workers on the front line. So we sent details out. We're going to keep promoting this, but if you're not familiar with it, please go check out Feed the Front Lines Boulder for details and how to participate in that. Our friends at Truman Barbershop are also doing a pretty awesome promotion right now called Haircuts for Humans. Donate $100 and they will provide 5 haircuts for people who can't afford to have that luxury right now. So if you under GoFundMe, but Haircuts for Humans. Ruthie's Boardwalk Social is also doing a really cool thing where you can go on and donate sandwiches to the people working the front lines. So as we continue to find these things, we will gather them and put them all in one spot so everybody can see where to go to help people who are trying to help. Elizabeth had a question about parking updates. I don't think that there's been any updates. Lane, are you still on the call by chance? You might have gotten off. The last I checked was Friday, and there hadn't been any updates from what we've been told. Right now, the free parking in the city garages goes through April 19th. As of the 2nd, they're planning to reopen city offices on Monday, April 20th at this time. So we'll give you guys updates if there's been any additional changes to parking. I know that the permit question came up. That is something that the city is questioning among their staff as well. There's an issue with CAGID and bond issues that they're trying to work through. So Elizabeth, we don't have another answer, but we'll keep you posted. Fern, everything's being done online for the parking permit. The office is not open physically, but you should be able to access things that you need online. Chip, anything?
Yeah, I just kind of on your back to Truman and Ruthie's and the various support that different businesses are giving. I just want to really say I've been so impressed to see how creative and thoughtful and generous a lot of our businesses in the downtown have been, and really working together to support each other and support those who are working in the healthcare and on the front lines. And we've gotten some great donations for the homeless outreach team, the officers who work with folks who are experiencing homelessness, of shoes from some great donations. So I really just want to acknowledge how impressive that is, and really encourage you all, when you hear of things, to share them and to support each other. And you know, if you have other needs, if you see people who are in need, you know, who are asking for needs, share that with, you know, follow each other on social media, really try to support each other as much as possible right now. And really, really importantly, you know, I mentioned this in a recent post, you guys are all business owners and you're used to doing and taking care of everybody. Ask for help if you need it, because there's a big community of folks who are here to support each other. So really ask for help when you can and when you need it. And it's been great to see how everybody's supporting each other. So keep that up.
Thanks, Chip. There, a couple other questions just popped by just before everyone starts hopping off. Will the old Chicago project continue? Yes, as far as I know, I'm being updated on a pretty regular basis. Sidewalk, they're supposed to block off the sidewalk starting yesterday, and I will follow up with that, but they are continuing to move forward on that project. I believe they're also moving forward on the solar panels and at the moment in the 2 garages, so I will keep giving updates as I receive them. A question came in on where to donate food and such. Again, if you're interested in helping the Boulder PD HOT team, the homeless outreach team, they are in desperate need of shoes, especially men's shoes, and gift cards that they are giving to King Soopers to people to take care of basic needs right now. If you are interested in donating shoes, warm clothes, or gift cards to restaurants or wherever people who can't afford to get a meal can go, we, BBP, our staff is organizing pickups, and then we ran a box out to PD headquarters on 33rd yesterday. We're happy to keep doing that. If you want to do it yourself, if you just address anything that you're dropping off to Ross and Jenny with the hot HOT team and drop it off at headquarters. It'll get to them, and they're really appreciative for any extra help. Oh, and Scott just popped in too that if you are interested in donating to Bridge House, you can shoot him an email at scott@boulderbridgehouse.org. He just put that in the comments section. Scott, is there any updates, not to put you on the spot, but is there anything that you would like to say to everybody before we get off?
Yeah, thanks. It's, well, our programs are running stronger than ever to support people experiencing homelessness. In fact, we've been branching those out. Starting tomorrow, we're going to start running a day shelter daily, and that will be out of the site on 30th Street, the old Rob Music Store where Pat the Home has been operating. So that'll be happening for 4 hours every day, and Severe Weather Shelter will continue to operate out of that location through April as well, every night. So there's a lot of services. Everyone gets checked out for health before coming in. So if anyone has a temperature, they're sent to the East Boulder Rec Center, where the COVID Recovery Center is now set up. And our kitchen is full on, as always. So we're providing food for all of these locations and the homeless shelter and the Boulder Hospital right now for some of their frontline people, which was mentioned earlier. And if anyone else is looking for support with food meals in any way, especially to underserved populations, whether you're an organization or not, also reach out to me and we can talk about that. My email is right there in the comments, scott@boulderbridgehouse.org. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Scott. Also, for folks on the phone who don't see the chat line, I just want to mention Sarah from B-Cycle followed up to say they are disinfecting their bikes on a regular basis and the stations. So rest assured they are getting disinfected. So if you need a bike for a necessity trip, they are being disinfected. So I wanted to let people know that who can't see the chat.
Is there anyone else from DDP staff that has anything to share with the group? Nope. Okay, Chip, I think that we can wrap up unless you have anything you'd like to add.
I think we're good. Thank you, Terry, for pulling together our guests today. That was very, very helpful and very informative. And like I said, we'll follow up with the questions that didn't get answered. And as more answers come, I'm sure it'll lead to more questions. So we'll stay on top of it. And thank you all for joining us this morning.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care.